Welcome back. Day 5, gang. We're here. The final episode, the finale of Frictionless Fat Loss. Today's course is Lifestyle Longevity, basically how to make all this shit stick. So you can finally get off that diet and roller coaster to live happily ever after, never feeling the need to diet again. Before we get going on this course, I just want to take a quick moment here to say thank you. Thank you so much for following along the past couple days, the past couple courses. Again, it means the world to me, and I hope you were able to find some value, get some answers. Just understand, fat loss doesn't have to be so complicated. There is an answer to your problems, and hopefully this course helped simplify things and gave you a little bit more of a realistic approach to fat loss so you can lose the weight and keep it off for the long run. So thank you so much once again. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you ever need anything, if you have a question, a concern, want some feedback, or you have some feedback for me, or whatever it may be, don't ever hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to chat. I'm always happy to talk things through. So don't ever hesitate to reach out. But let's get into this final day of frictionless fat loss. So again, quick reminder, you're here for freedom. Yes, you're here to lose weight and make some changes, and you have these fitness goals in mind. But again, we want freedom. We want confidence in our ability to take care of our health no matter the season of life, to leave those negative emotions behind so you can go enjoy those social events. You can enjoy holidays, summers, vacations, anniversaries, a Friday night out with friends, and just everyday life, to live happily ever after. So how and why we want to learn how to make this stick. This is the longevity, right? We want to be able to do these things forever, because sustainable fat loss and long-term health require building habits for a lifetime, require some behavior changes for a lifetime, because how you lose the weight is also going to be how you maintain it in the long run. So we want to make gradual progress. It's sustainable progress. We want to have this realistic approach, and this is what creates lasting change. We want to get to a point where you can maintain your weight and just go about living your life. And by the way, maintenance as far as your weight is a range. You know, some people get so caught up that it's like one number, where it's like, all right, I gotta be this exact number forever. No, it's gonna be probably like a 5 to 10 pound range. You can just fluctuate between there, because again, life is gonna happen where it's a little bit more challenging to be on top of things, but cool. You're roughly maintaining that 5 to 10 pound range. Cool, you're in a good spot. You're in a good spot. You know, there might be other phases where we have to dial things in a little bit, but we just obviously don't want to let them get too far. We still want to be keeping up with that something, right? We don't want to do absolutely nothing. We don't want to turn the lights off. In the busy times of life, we take that dimmer and we just dim it down. It's not an on and off switch, it's a dimmer switch. So we just learn to dim the lights up and down. But anyways, let's get into it. So how to make it stick. One thing we want to do and make sure we want to do is do the inner work. Dive into the uncomfortable stuff, because here's the thing, right? We have a good idea that we should be moving our body, right? We should be exercising, getting walks in, eating protein, eating fruits and vegetables, doing these things. But what we don't dive into is why we're not doing them, or what's causing us to not do them. And that's typically a little bit of the inner work. So if you have to go back to course number 4 or number 2 and kind of dive into your relationship with food or the emotional eating side of things, dive back into it, rewatch those videos. So we want to address limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging thoughts, and this negative self-talk, right? We got to do this uncomfortable work. We want to make this identity shift where we begin to see yourself as someone who does prioritize health and fitness. We see it all the time, right? Oh, I'm just not someone who walks. Well, you're starting to identify as someone who doesn't walk, versus maybe it's a shift of like, I'm working on becoming a person who walks, or I'm going to be someone who's just walking. And you start to identify with that. Like you identified that you're a mother or a father or a coworker or a friend. You just want to start to work on that identity of shifting on how you view yourself. And then creating that self-awareness. Again, once we're aware of why we do what we do, we're educated on ourselves, we can start to make the appropriate steps to work on that in particular thing. So do things like journal and reflect on emotional triggers, food relationships, habits. Again, maybe it's setting up boundaries, whatever it may be, but start to create awareness, and then we start to problem solve once we have more awareness on why we're doing what we're doing, and we figure out a solution for that. Then, when it comes to taking actions, when it comes to starting to improve upon habits and change behaviors, start small and then build up. We can always add, right? We can always increase, but we want that foundation of habits and behaviors there so we have a strong starting point, and then we just build up from there. So build up over time to make small changes that challenge you, yet you have high confidence that you can accomplish no matter what, no matter the season of life. Can you still work out 2 days a week? Can you still get 5,000 steps a day? Can you still eat 50% of your protein? Whatever the habits and strategies you work on, build that foundation first. Again, no matter how crazy the week is, what can you still accomplish? And then again, over time, after building up some consistency, some confidence, making small changes, manageable changes, gradually increase the difficulty if needed, or focus on some other behaviors that you see yourself being a part of your routine. Then when it comes to becoming more disciplined and having more willpower, be a badass at planning. Be a black belt at planning and setting up your environment for success. Again, we're trying to be more proactive through each day and each week so we can make fewer decisions each day. That's planning, just making decisions ahead of time, and then making easier decisions for ourselves just by setting up our environment. Again, the most disciplined and high willpower people I know typically are awesome at this. And they find themselves staying so consistent because they're not relying on winging it or making decisions in the moment or trying to use discipline to not eat the cookie, right? They set up themselves for success by planning and setting up their environment. So again, set up your meals 24 hours in advance. Know your nutrition 24 hours in advance, at least. Do the bare minimum and just know everything you're eating as far as the next day. Plan out your workouts a week in advance. Treat it like it's a meeting at work. Write it down in your schedule. Make it non-negotiable. Set up your environment that supports your goals. So if you need to grocery shop, you need to be proactive there. You need to do some meal prep or just have some ingredients prepped up. You don't have to put everything in Tupperware and have it all sort of in place as far as a plan, but at least have some cooking chick, have some vegetables steamed, have some fruit readily available. Just have yourself set up for success. Remove temptations if you have to remove temptations. Again, it's not forever, but just for now. Get your gym bag ready, get your clothes ready, your lunch, your breakfast, all these things ready, and rely on this routine. Don't rely on willpower, don't rely on motivation. Rely on your routine, rely on planning, and set up your environment. Action leads to motivation. So a lot of times we rely on motivation. I'll do it once I'm motivated. If you wait till you're motivated, you're going to be waiting for a long, long time. And say once you get motivated, you start taking action, the motivation can typically wear off. And then you're waiting again, causing inconsistencies in your routine. But just take small actions. One small action can lead to big results. If you stay consistent with taking these small actions, that will eventually create motivation. As you see in this cycle down here, we start with action. Action ends up leading to results. Those results get you motivated, so now you have motivation, and then that's typically when we take a little bit more action, and then get a little bit more results, and then more motivation, and it just keeps on cycling and cycling. And it even works from a short-term standpoint. The days you don't feel like working out, and you're really dreading it, just start with like a 10-minute warm-up. Walk for a little bit, stretch, move your body, and I bet you some motivation comes just because now you're getting a little energized. Now you're feeling in a groove a little bit more. And at that point, after 10 minutes of warming up, boom, you get a great workout. Some of the best workouts I've had where I've set PRs were typically from workouts I didn't feel like it. So action leads to motivation. Focus on just being consistent. Not perfect, but being consistent. Progress comes from consistent effort, not perfection. So one thing I quickly want to talk about real quick is being in a fat loss mindset versus actually being in a fat loss phase. Because we're going to get into a little bit as how to be strategic with your fat loss phases. But what you're doing right now is you're constantly in this fat loss mindset, but your behaviors and actions aren't complementing it. But you're so focused on thinking you need to be in this fat loss phase 365 days a year where it becomes exhausting. It becomes physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausting. And this can take away from the special moments of life, right? You're losing out on fully enjoying that week-long vacation, that weekend away, your anniversary dinner, again, birthday party, so on and so forth, because you feel like you need to be making decisions that align with your goals constantly. But those moments where it's a little bit more challenging, or maybe you should be having the cake or the ice cream or the chips or whatever it may be, you feel guilty because of it. So there's a difference of actually being in a fat loss phase in being in this fat loss mindset where you're constantly trying to lose weight mentally, but again, your actions are having a hard time keep up with it because it is exhausting. It's long term, you're getting burnt out. So this is how we fix it. Stop trying to lose weight 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. What I want you to do is be more strategic with your fat loss phases. When constant dieting can lead to mental fatigue, as we just talked about, and you decrease your adherence because of it. So what I want you to do is pick a timeline, whatever it may be. Hey, I'm going to be dialed in here for the next 8 weeks, and I'm focused on being 80% consistent. Maybe it's 12 weeks, maybe it's 16 weeks. Typically, I leave it at 16 weeks at the longest. But after that 16 weeks, cool, take a little break, take a step back, and be a little bit more flexible. I'm not saying be ridiculous and be going banana pants, but just be a little bit more flexible. Take some breaks, relax. It's the same reason why we have vacation from work, right? You're not checking your emails on your vacation, right? You are out of office, you are good to go, I'm relaxing, you're recharging your batteries. This is the same thing, especially when it comes to long-term consistency and long-term sustainability. Learn how to be in the fat loss phase and then learn to take breaks along the way, having that flexibility. And by the way, breaks can be planned in the short term, right? Maybe once every week, you have a day you eat a little bit more. You eat more towards maintenance, and that makes it sustainable for you, right? If you're in a calorie deficit 5 days a week and you're at maintenance 1 to 2 days a week, you're still in a deficit for the week, right? So if you do that week over the course of 2 or 3 months, you're going to be in a great spot, continue to make progress. And again, it's more sustainable. So be a little bit more strategic with that. So again, with strategic fat loss and maintenance phases, cycle between the two, alternate between a fat loss phase and maintenance phase. Again, this will support sustainable progress and help you avoid burnout. Again, staying in that constant calorie deficit, a fat loss phase, will lead to burnout, feeling decreased motivation. Again, maybe some guilt behind some events that are coming up. And the other thing too is I find a lot of times our breaks kind of naturally come. Again, you have a vacation coming up, cool. That's a perfect time to take a little bit of a break. You have a social event coming up, take a break that day, relax a little bit, or whatever's going on. And then obviously maybe longer periods of time, like with some teachers I work with, it makes sense for them to take the summer off, to have a break, where they're just being a little bit more flexible, enjoying their time off, recharging the batteries for the next school year. And with the more structure in their school year, it's a little bit easier for them to stay on track. So again, you got to figure out what works for you. But I find a lot of these times, these busy phases of life, whether it's the holidays, vacations, summers, whatever it may be, take some breaks there. But also when you have a clear vision of like, all right, from September all the way to Thanksgiving, that's my fat loss phase. But when Thanksgiving comes all the way through the holidays, I'm going to relax a little bit. Then January comes, I'm motivated, your mom's motivated, your dog's motivated, your grandparents are motivated, we're all motivated, right? So we take advantage of that and we go for another 2 or 3 months. And that's just ways to be strategic about it. So be okay in the maintenance phase, because the other thing too, to add to this, is when you're in a maintenance phase and you're eating a couple more calories, one, that's great to practice in, because a lot of times we enter a maintenance phase and we're worried about losing progress, but it's good to be a little bit uncomfortable there. Learn how to maintain the progress you've made, which is progress as well, but learn how to maintain the progress you made over a longer period of time. And it just gives you some repetition of practice and maintenance. So make sure we're being strategic here. We have our fat loss phase, we have our maintenance phases, and it just makes things a lot easier and more sustainable for yourself. All right, then my last 2 points here. Put on your patience pants. Remember, you didn't get to where you are at overnight, in a week, in a month, maybe even a couple of years. So it's going to take a little bit more time than you're used to. Again, you might be used to losing 30 pounds in 30 days doing the rigid, strict way. But as we know, that didn't work. You weren't able to maintain the results after. And that's one thing I always say. People will come to me like, oh, when I did this diet, it worked. I lost 30 pounds really quick. But yet they gained it all back and then some. So did it actually work? Because when it comes to a diet actually working, you're able to lose the weight and also keep it off. Again, the sustainable approach. So fat loss takes time, especially a sustainable fat loss. Results may come a little bit more slowly than expected, and that's okay. You will make progress. And we overestimate what we can do in a month, but we underestimate what we can do in 6 months to 12 months. Like I said, Rome wasn't built in a day. You didn't get here overnight. This requires some changes. Because again, we're not only trying to make physical change here, we're also trying to make changes with our habits, our behaviors, our stress management, all these things that also require to dive into to keep it off in the long run. So just understand it's okay. You're going to make great progress and you're going to have plenty of wins along the way. That's what's going to keep you going, and keep celebrating those small wins. Even if it's a pound, even if it's getting a little bit stronger, feeling a little bit more defined, feeling like the pants fit a little bit looser, feeling like you're being more consistent than you've ever been, more energetic. Celebrate those wins, because that will also keep you going, and that's progress. But just understand everything's not going to happen overnight or in a month. It's going to take a little bit of time. Then lastly, one of the most, if not the most important thing here of this whole course, you can't fuck this up. I promise you, you will not fuck this up. The only way to truly fail is to quit. Yes, mistakes will happen. Yes, setbacks will happen. Yes, you'll slip up. Moments of doubt will creep in. For sure, we're human here. But as long as you never quit, you are not going to fuck up. You are not going to ruin all your progress. Learn from your mistakes, grow from your mistakes, and keep going. Whenever someone has a moment where they fell off track, and maybe they fell off their plan, right? That happens. Again, we're human. It's not that the day they screwed up or felt like they had a setback or just slipped up, that caused them to ruin all their progress. What caused them to ruin all their progress is they just waited to get back on track. They waited till Monday. They waited till next month, next year to get back on track. So when you slip up and make a mistake, it happens. But what you need to do is just learn from it and then get back on track. Your very next bite, your very next walk, your very next workout. Get yourself right back on track, and remember, always keep fucking going. KFG, baby. We spend a lot of time together, gang. We spend a lot of time together. And again, like I said earlier, thank you. I appreciate it. But here's everything we went over as far as day 1 was Fat Loss Simplified. Day 2, Food Relationship 101. 3, Behavior Blueprint. 4 is then Mastery. And then today was Lifestyle Longevity. Again, if you have any questions, any concerns, anything from me, I'm always here for you. I'm here to support you every step of the way that you need. So do not hesitate to reach out. And as you see here, like, knowledge is power. But when we take that knowledge and start to apply it, that's fucking power. That's where the magic happens. That's the money maker right there. So once again, thank you so much for the past X amount of hours. I don't even know how long it's been, but I really do appreciate you. I appreciate everything, and it does mean the world to me. But like I said, I'm always here to